Shalom and welcome to Jerusalem. I'm Yehuda Glick. I'm a licensed tour guide here in Israel, and I'm also a teacher of Tanakh, teacher of the Bible. And I want to invite you today to a tour of the Bible and of Jerusalem. Israel, the only place in the world where you can actually open the book and walk and see with your own eyes the words of the Bible coming out of the book and materializing in front of your eyes. Here we are standing at the beginning of our tour, right in front of Mount Moriah, the Temple Mount. We can see the Dome of the Rock, which stands on the location of the foundation stone of the world, where God begins the creation of the world. This is the place where God sends Abraham to take his son. And he says to him in the book of Genesis chapter 22, he says to him, take your son, your beloved son, Isaac, and go to the land of Moriah, to one of the mountains I will show you. And this story, the story of faith, the story of Abraham willing to give God his entire past, present, and future. And there is where Abraham shows his total faith in God. This is the place, the holiest place on earth. The place where King David purchases in order to build the Holy Temple. The place where King David's son Solomon builds the first temple. The first temple stands there for several centuries until it is destroyed by the Babylonians, Nebuchadnezzar. The second temple, rebuilt here on the exact same location, serves once again for several centuries until the Romans come and destroy it. But this is the point, the heart of the universe, the place where every single Jew in the world for thousands of years has been dreaming for the rebuilding of the third temple and for the divine presence of God to come and show. Yes, the only place in the world where you can see this holiest place in the world. So I'm inviting you to join me today to a tour of the old city of Jerusalem. We will see remnants from the first temple, from the second temple, and we will see various different preparations that are being done today for the third temple. We are right now inside the Quarter Cafe. The Quarter Cafe is a dairy restaurant in the city of Jerusalem with this beautiful view. Come down and I will show you as we walk through the streets of Jerusalem, and we will start our tour from the Quarter Cafe. What I want to show you is that though we are in the holy city, the ancient city of Jerusalem, life is coming about. The words of the prophets are coming true. We will see the words of the prophecy of Zechariah, who says in chapter 8, there will come a day, and elderly will be sitting in the city of Jerusalem and holding onto their stick from old age, and the streets of Jerusalem will be filled with boys and girls playing in the streets. Let's go and see. We'll see how the Jewish people have come back home to their homeland. Let's see how the life has come back to this city that was deserted for several thousands of years. Come down and we will start. The dairy products. The gentleman over here will show you. You can even give us a taste of a falafel. A falafel bowl here in Israel, Jerusalem. As I said, the ancient city, but life has come about. Here I am going to eat this falafel, but I'm going to mention the bless God. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, she'akol niyeh b'dvaro. Okay, and we have Alon. Come Alon, tell us a little bit about Quarter Cafe. Alon, come here. We're telling the world about Quarter Cafe. Okay. I love coming here. You can have fruits, drinks, and we're going to go down on our tour. Bye bye, Alon. We're now going to walk down to one of the center streets of Jerusalem. But as we're walking, I want to show you how Jerusalem, at the same time, has the ancient remnants and we have new. What we see right over here, here's a synagogue. There was once a synagogue of Tiferet Israel in the 19th century. It was bombed by the Jordanians in 1948. It has not been yet rebuilt, but it's being planned to be rebuilt. Right next to it, we have Yeshiva Takoto, where we have students learning from all over the world till this very day. Students are sitting here from the United States, from South Africa, from Australia, from South America. Life is coming about. We see Jerusalem. The remnants are still here, still calling us to be rebuilt. If I walk by right over here, I can actually hear the walls of the synagogue. Come on, please, build me up again. I want to stand as I used to stand, 20 meters high. But at the same time, I listen carefully. I can hear the students of Yeshiva Takoto studying the Talmud, the basic of the oral Jewish law being studied right over here. Here, the book that was written in Babylon several years ago, hundreds of years ago, is a live story. And this is the story of Jerusalem, the story of the Jewish people, where we have the ancient people, we have the remnants, and we have life coming about. Here we're going to take a look at the street, which is named after the synagogue. The synagogue here, Tiferet Yisrael. We will see the street over here with shops. You can buy a coffee bagel. You can see the street here. Always we have people walking down the streets all the time here on Tiferet Yisrael Street. You're more than welcome to join me as we walk down, and we'll see what we have here in the streets. We can see coffee bagel, marzipan, Judaica souvenirs, American bagels, I've been down the street, I'd say hundreds of times. I've never in my life seen the street empty. It's always people are walking down. I want to remind you, the book of Zechariah. Children, boys and girls will be walking down the streets of Jerusalem. The prophecy of Zechariah is coming about. It's actually materializing, coming out of the book, and we can see it right over here. Look at the elderly walking down the streets. Where are you from? Where are you from?
Russia.
Russia. Dobre pojalovat. Mi очень люблю туристы из России. Мы очень рады видеть вам. Спасибо вам. Dobre pojalovat дома. We can see the bank. We can see the people, children here, sitting down the streets of Jerusalem. Presently, in the streets of Jerusalem, we have a project called the Light, because Jerusalem is the city of light. Yair, I want you to know, my friend Rabbi Yair. Yair in the world is in Hebrew means bringing light. When I see him, he's always filled with light. He teaches Torah to students from around the world. He teaches the Torah of Jerusalem, the Torah of the light of Jerusalem, the light coming from above, but also light coming from the heart of every single Jewish boy. Rav Yair, we are now on a tour, a virtual tour of Jerusalem. Would you have a message? What is Jerusalem for you, Yair?
I think Jerusalem is the city of fire, and fire is always something that surprises you. So it's the city of surprises.
Okay, Yair, continue bringing the light to all of your students, to your friends, to your neighbors, to your family. It's great seeing you, Rav Yair. Okay. Here we are. You can see that the restaurants of Jerusalem are filled with people. People from all over the world are sitting and enjoying the restaurants of Jerusalem. It's unbelievable. As I said, the words of the book coming out, materializing in front of your eyes. Here they are. People who are just sitting and eating in the streets of Jerusalem. Who could dream that that was like that? My grandfather leaves Poland in 1920. He couldn't have dreamed that there would be people from all over the world coming to Jerusalem. And I want you to know that Isaiah tells us about this. Isaiah, in the very beginning of the book, in chapter 2, he tells us that there will come a day and people from all over the world will come to Jerusalem and will want to learn from the word of God of Jerusalem. Here we can see people from all over the world. We met the group from Russia. Here we see tourists from all over the world coming to Jerusalem. Jerusalem has once again come out of the book and become a living city. Thank God. Thank you, Jerusalem of gold. It's so great to be here. On your next visit to Jerusalem, you're welcome to visit this cafeteria also, a very nice dairy restaurant also. But I'm taking you now. We're now going and climbing back 3,000 years back in history, and watch where we're going to go right now. We're going to see in front of our eyes. It's unbelievable. We can't actually believe it. Just a block away from that restaurant, we see the wall of the first temple era. Guys, you know what that means? The wall of the first temple era? It means that the temple, the first temple, 3,000 years ago, Ezekiel is right over here. Right over here. The prophecies of Isaiah, when he spoke to Chizkiyahu, he says it right over here. Look over here where we can see we have the Jerusalem in the first temple period. We have a map of Jerusalem in the first temple period right over here. And we have the actual wall still there. And as I told you, a wall that's 3,000 years old right next to the life of today. Here we have, what's your name? Yosef. Here we have Yosef selling delicious almonds. Delicious, sweet almonds here in Jerusalem. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei pri ha'etz. Guys, I want to tell you one of the stories. I would say one of the most strongest stories there are in the book, in the Tanakh. We have the story of the Assyrians. And I want to read it to you. If you wait one moment, and I'll find it, and we'll read the story. It's an unbelievable story. We're talking about towards the end of the times of Chizkiyahu. Here. Chizkiyahu is protecting the city of Jerusalem from the Assyrians. And Rav Shakeh, who is the leader, or I'd say one of the ministers of the leader of the army, of the Assyrian army, comes out and he says to the people, don't listen to Chizkiyahu. Come on, come on. Sancheriv, the king of Assyria, has come and he wants to take down the cities of Judah. And he's already captured several of the cities of Judah. And he sends messengers to Chizkiyahu and he says, come on, forget it, you have no chance. We're on our way to conquer Jerusalem. And Chizkiyahu hears these terrible things. I'm reading in the book of Kings 2, chapter 19. Vayikishma HaMelech Chizkiyahu, Vayikrait begadav. And he doesn't know what to do. And he prays to God. And he says, God, did you hear that Rav Shakeh is cursing you? And here we are. And actually at the time, Sancheriv has already conquered almost all the cities of Judah. And here we are, Chizkiyahu, standing behind this wall which he built and strengthened the city of Jerusalem. And what he says is, God, please help us and save us. And at that night, the Bible teaches us in the book of Kings 2, verse 35, Vayihi balaylahu, in that night, Vayetzei malach Adonai vayach b'machane Ashur 185,000. 185,000 soldiers of the Assyrians were killed in one night. And they turn around, verse 36, Vayelech vayashev Sancheriv melech Ashur vayeshev b'ninveh. Only when we see this wall over here, and we understand what the fear that Chizkiyahu was facing, do we really understand. We're talking about an 8-meter wide wall. We're talking about the wall, and here we are, the remnant of the wall. The wall is built. We can see remnants of a house that the wall is built on, because the wall is there to protect the citizens of Jerusalem. And at that one night, that great miracle, where the inhabitants of Jerusalem were saved. And here we are. We can see it in front of our eyes. But I want to invite you to join me, and we'll see a little bit more about the city, the streets of Jerusalem. Welcome and join me as we walk from 3,000 years ago, and we walk and continue through the valleys, the streets of Jerusalem. Bye-bye, Yosef. It was delicious almond. I love it. Okay, right now we're going to go down and go into what's called the Cardo. We're now going through a totally different era. We're going through a totally different era. We're going to walk through the Cardo. We're going to take a look at what's called the Mataba Map, and I'm going to talk a little bit about it, and we'll see and understand what the meaning of the street is. We are now entering to the Cardo. The Cardo is a street where we see many shops, and it's really a high prestigious street today. But what's the origin of this place? And let me invite you in and join us, and we will see exactly the story of the Cardo.
For example, a hat. There you pay much more because it's
So what is the Cardo? The Cardo, in every Roman street, there was always a road that goes from north to south. The main road, the main highway, called the Cardo. On the main highway, we would see markets, and here we see exactly what it's all about. We have actually a picture. So where these people are coming in, we see tourists, more tourists. So we'll go back, take a look at the map, and we'll come back here in a few minutes. Okay? Let's continue, and we'll talk a little bit about the Cardo over there. We're going to take a look at this map, and we're going to try to get an understanding of what this map is a map of. This is called the Mataba Map. It's a map of Nagia Polis Jerusalem. Nagia, holy, Polis, city, Jerusalem, of Jerusalem. This map, which is found in a mosaic in a church in the city of Mataba, which is presently in the state of Jordan, Kingdom of Jordan, was a roadmap for every pilgrim who comes to Jerusalem. Before he comes to Jerusalem, he gets a picture of what Jerusalem is all about. This map was made in the time of the Byzantines. We're talking about the 6th century, 5th or 7th, somewhere in the 6th century. We're talking about a time where the only religion recognized in the Roman kingdom is Christianity. This city, the map of the city of Jerusalem, we can see right in the center, we have the Cardo. The Cardo, which begins at Damascus Gate, the gate of the column, the pillar right over here, and the main road is the Cardo. What do we see else around here? We see several churches. The main church of the Holy Sepulchre, right in the center. We see the Nagia Tzion, the Holy Tzion Church, the Nea Church. We see this map of the city of Jerusalem. What is lacking? Right over here should have been the Temple Mount. But this map is a map in the time of after the destruction of the temple, but not only after the destruction of the temple, but after when Adrianus wants to erase any remnants, Jewish remnants, Jews out from already the 2nd century. Adrianus changes the name of the city to Ilia Capitolina. He changes the name of the state of Israel to Philistina. And he wants to wipe out any Jewish remnants. He turns this whole city into a Roman city with the Cardo in the center, with no Temple Mount. Jews are not allowed into the city. This map sort of shows city of Jerusalem cleaned out from Jews. So why are we putting this map over here? We're putting this map over here to tell everybody this is what many people throughout history believed. But here we are and see Jerusalem, we are back home. Jerusalem, the people are coming from all over the world. Where are you from? Holland. Poland. Welcome, welcome. And she's going to show them once again this map which represents no Jewish remnants, no Temple Mount, nothing. And here we are. The Jewish people have come back home. The prophecies of the holy prophets come out of the book and materialize. We're going to move away and let this group with their wonderful guide. God bless you. Shalom. And now, okay. And now we're once again back and get the picture of the idea of the Cardo. The Cardo with this Roman city, the main road or the main highway of the Roman city with stores and shops. Let's go in and see. Maybe, can I buy a little sheep? A sheep, yeah, I want to buy a sheep. Oh, how much is the sheep? Oh, 100 pieces of copper. Okay, I'll see on my donkey. I'll check it out and I'll see if I have it for you. One moment there. Let me see. My donkey. 50, 60. Oh, I got 100 pieces. Okay, here you are. Can I have my sheep, please? Thank you. Meh, meh. Thank you. It was great meeting you. Okay, we're going on. And we're looking at the Cardo has once again come about. The Cardo is once again a living street. Tourists are walking down the streets there till this very day. It became it's a reliving. But one thing we can see very, very carefully is that the Romans are not here anymore. We see the Israeli flag. The Jewish people have come back home to their homeland. The street, which represented more than anything, erasing Jews from the city of Jerusalem. Here we are. The dream has come back. The words of the book are coming out of the book and materializing in front of our eyes. Let's go back up to the main street of Jerusalem. Unbelievable. Okay. We're back on the street. We're back on the main street. To our right, we can see the Cardo. To our right, we can see the Cardo. We see beautiful art. Here we have embroidery, and we have people who they're making talitot and kippot. Here, a beautiful artistic store. They really make these wonderful talitot with tzitzit. And let's go on, and we'll see what we can see today in Jerusalem. Once again, things have not changed very much. People need money to change when they're coming down the streets of Jerusalem. We have the coffee menorah cafe. But I want to see what there's something very, very interesting about this whole story. You know what the name of this street is? The name of this street is Rehov HaYehudim, the street of the Jews. Can you imagine? Right next to us, we have the Cardo. The Cardo, which expresses more than anything wiping out Jewish history. And here once again, the name of the street, which represents more than all, the Jewish people have come back home. The name of the street is Rehov HaYehudim, the street of the Jews. So here we are. We'll see a few interesting things we have on this street. When we began our tour, we saw the temple, the synagogue called the Tiferet Israel. Tiferet Israel has not been rebuilt, but the synagogue of the Churva, which was in the same situation, it was also bombed by the Jordanian League in 1948, and it was standing there for over 50 years in its remnants, and its destruction has now been rebuilt. And now we can see the Churva is once again alive and standing. Here, let's go in and take a look at the Churva synagogue for one moment. Here. I want you to see something that can only happen in Jerusalem. In Jerusalem. Huh? מצוין, מה? לא, זה מעולה, אתה יפה. And then, here, what we can see is once again the sound of Torah and prayer is once again being heard in the streets of Jerusalem, in this beautiful, magnificent synagogue, which has been rebuilt. Here it is, rebuilt in its original height, 20 meters high. And the world, the voice of Torah, the voice of Torah is once again being heard in the streets of Jerusalem. The words of prayer are once again being heard in Jerusalem. And on the ark, it says, "Im eshkachech Yerushalayim, tishkach yamini." If I forget Jerusalem, you will forget my right hand. And there is what it says on the ark, on the parochet. שמואל, בוא נצלם מלמעלה. הם לא כל כך רוצים שייכנסו לפה לתוך הבית כנסת.
אתה יותר גלי, נכון?
נכון.
זהו, אני לא עשיתי לב.
מצוין.
בהצלחה בכל העולם.
תודה רבה, תודה רבה. This is what the synagogue looked like just a few years ago. Just a few years ago. In 1967, when they returned back home to Jerusalem, look at what it looked like. The synagogue ruins. And here, look at what has come about. Let's go upstairs and take a view from on top and talk a little bit about the history of the synagogue. Now we're climbing 1.5 floors, and we're going to see the view from this beautiful, magnificent synagogue. Here, we have a picture of what the synagogue looked like in the 19th century. Here it is, and we can see exact replicate of what's going on right now. It has been rebuilt. But before what it looked like in the 19th century, it first went through a very difficult situation. I want to show you what it looked like as we saw the remnants of the synagogue. Here we can see what it looked like when they came back to here in 1967. But I want to point out something very interesting. If you take a look at the synagogue, it's totally ruined. It's totally destroyed. There's one wall that's standing up there, the eastern wall, the wall where the scrolls of the Torah stood. Ladies and gentlemen, look in front of us right now. The original wall of the synagogue from the that was built in the middle of the 19th century are still standing right over here. The place was destructed, and it was once again rebuilt in 2010. The exact wall that's over here is still standing there, non-touched. If you take a look in the four corners, we can see the four holy cities. We have the Dome of Rachel in Bethlehem, where our mother Rachel was buried. Right opposite it, we have the Me'arat HaMachpelah, the place in Hebron where the patriarchs are buried, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, together with Sarah, Rebecca, and Leah. Hebron, Bethlehem. On the other side, opposite it, we'll see the two holy cities through the history of Israel. We can see right over here, Jerusalem, which is represented by the Tower of David, and on the other side, opposite it, Tiberias. For many years, anybody coming to Jerusalem, the old city of Jerusalem, I would say since the 1970s, all the way till 2010, anybody would see, this would be like the symbol of Jerusalem. People thought this was here forever. No, it was only one arch left over from the original synagogue. But it marked the fact that the synagogue needs to be rebuilt. The people of Israel, together with the Jewish people, together, partnership, cooperated to rebuild this beautiful synagogue. And now, instead of this arch we have standing, this wonderful synagogue, the arch is right over there. We'll see it in a few seconds when we go out. The arch is over there, the dome is right on top of it, and we'll go take a look at the dome itself. בואו, אנחנו נעלה עד למעלה. I want us to go upstairs and take a look at this beautiful dome from on top. One of the most beautiful synagogues there are in the world. But on the way there, we'll get a wonderful view. I would think one of the most beautiful ones of the entire city of Jerusalem. Come with me and we'll get and see it. These windy stairs are a bit difficult for people who are a little elderly. Therefore, there's an elevator for those who need it. The elevator takes us up to this floor, but from here there's another one staircase you have to climb up. We're going to climb it up. It's a little windy, but it's worth it. Believe me, it's worth it. It's one of the breathtaking views of the city of Jerusalem. Old and new. We managed to climb up. What? Here we can see the roofs of the Jewish quarter. People are living there, plants. Life is blooming. Life is blooming on the rooftops of the city of Jerusalem. The Jewish quarter, the Jews have come back home to their homes. And here we can see the gardens, the beautiful gardens on the rooftops. But once again, let's take a look. And we will see I want to remind us and orientate our direction. As you can see, the Temple Mount But see, the Temple Mount is lower than where we are. Not only is it lower, it's also lower than the mountain across, and it's lower than the mountain which is on north of it. How could that be? How could it be that the Temple Mount is lower than all mountains that are all around? Actually, not only can that be, but that's the way it should be. If we recall the verse that King David teaches us in the book of Psalms. He says, Yerushalayim, Harim Savivla, Vadonai Saviv La'amo. I'm reading the book of Psalms, chapter 125, Tehillim Kuf Chaf Hei. Shir HaMa'alot Habotchim Badonai. This is a song of ascent for those who have faith in God. Kehar Tzion, Lo Yimot Le'olam Yeshiv. Like the mountain of Zion, it will be there forever. Yerushalayim, Harim Savivla. Jerusalem is surrounded with mountains. Opposite us, we can see Mount Zion. That's right now, and where we're standing, it's east of us. Mount of Olives, which is the most ancient, most famous cemetery in the world, the Jewish world. If we go on now to the north, we can see the Mount Scopus to our north. But we can also see from here the Judean desert. And south of us, we have what's called Jabal Mukabar. We can see Jerusalem is right near, just one hand away, just footsteps away from the Dead Sea, the lowest place in the world. Jerusalem, the highest place spiritually in the world. But the Temple Mount is surrounded with mountains. I want to actually point out the southern map, Jabal Mukabar, the mountain of the evil. It's called mountain of the evil, and that because of the history of. But in Jewish history, this mountain has very uniqueness. We know that Abraham brings his son to Mount Moriah. He comes in from Beersheba. And he gets to a point where he can see the mountain from far. The first place where he can actually do that is on this mountain. And therefore he tells his son, come with me. And he tells his servant, and sit here with the donkeys and wait, we're going. And this mountain is probably the mountain where this takes place. But we can once again see Jerusalem surrounded with mountains. And just like God is surrounding his people, Vadonai Saviv Le'amo, Heitiva Adonai Latovim, Shalom al Yisrael. God brings good and righteous to those who are righteous. And God brings peace upon Israel. We can see that Jerusalem is once again being rebuilt after so many years that it was sitting here waiting for the people of Israel to come back home, waiting for tourists from all over the world to come back and visit. And here we are, still waiting for the rebuilding of the Holy Temple on the Temple Mount right in front of us. נראה לי שזה... אפשר... מה אתה אומר?